Welcome back to another Charter Technologies tutorial. In this video, we will continue our guide on how to use Google Drive, specifically how to share files and folders with other people, as well as how to access files and folders that have been shared from other people, as well as how to set up your own team drive for your team. To get started, first we'll navigate to our Google Drive, which I have right here, and we'll start with how to share a file or folder with another person. To do so, we simply need to find the file that we want to share. So for example, let's say we're going to share the taxes.doc here. You can just right click the file, and then under the drop down menu here, click share. This will bring up a little window here for sharing. We simply type the email address of the person we want to share with. And if it's someone we've emailed before, a little drop down will come up. We can type a message to give them a little more information about what we are sharing with them, as well as this little checkbox here will send them an email notification telling them that we want to share something with them. Right here, this little drop down is the permissions that we give to the person for this document. We can make them an editor, which will give them full permissions over the file. A commenter, they can't make changes to the file, but they can add comments. And a viewer, they can only view the contents of the file. They can't make any changes or comments. So if we do viewer, we can see here they can only view it, and then we hit send, and then that sends an email notification to that person for this document. So if we go back to share again, we can see that charter.person here that we sent is now under the list of people who it's being shared with. And in this tab here, we have that person's email address. And you can see that they received the email to access that file. Sharing a folder is the exact same process. You find the folder that you wish to share. You right-click it, then click share. And then you would type the person's name that you want to send and give access to, like so. Again, same permissions. If they have editor permissions, they can organize the folder, add or edit files. They can remove or delete them. Viewer, they can only view the contents of the folder and the files held within. Another way to share is this get link option right here. It generates a public link that you can send directly to anyone. So instead of, if you don't have a person's email address necessarily, you can send them this link in another fashion. Again, you can edit the permissions here. They can either view it or edit, as well as anyone with the link or restricted access. So only if it has restricted access, only people that are added in the share with peoples and groups up here can access the folder or file through this public link that's automatically generated here. When it comes to sharing files and folders, the most important thing to understand is how file location works. So what I mean by that is when we share a document with another person, it does not send them a copy of that file. It simply gives them access to the file that is in your Google Drive. It doesn't move the file at all. It just gives them direct access to those files. So if you wanted to send someone a copy of a document that you want them to make notes on or edit, but you want to keep your original intact, the best way to go about that would be to right-click the file, make a copy, and then send that copy to them instead of the original, because again, you're not sending the actual file, you're simply giving them direct access to it. All right, now that we understand that when we share a file or folder with another person, it doesn't send them a copy of that file or folder, but instead gives them direct access to those files, how do we then access them? Because, as you would imagine, when we share a file with them, that file is not going to show up in under their drive here at the top. It'll show up in a different location. So if we go to that other person's drive that we sent our taxes file to, we can see that though we see the file here, this is under the quick access most recent activity section, but in our actual Google Drive itself, there's nothing. To find the files that were shared with us, we simply click on the left here, shared with me. And that's where we'll find all of our files that have been shared with us. We can then download those files just like we would any other file. We can create a shortcut in our actual Google Drive, similar to creating a shortcut on your desktop for any other files or folders that you would have. So now if we go back to the drive here, we can see it's a shortcut. Now don't be confused that this is the actual file itself. You can tell that's a shortcut by the little arrow on the icon right here. Now that we have a basic understanding of how sharing files and folders works within Google Drive, let's say, for example, there's a scenario where we have a bunch of files and folders that we want to share with a group of people on a regular basis. That's where team drives or shared drives comes into play. To create a shared drive, we simply find on the upper left side here, shared drives. We go ahead and select it, and we can click create a shared drive by clicking the button here. We can right click new shared drive, or we can right click shared drives, new shared drive, like so. That brings up the new shared drive little naming box here, so we can give it a name, our team. Then we click create, and then we can see at the top here our team, and on the left side our team right here. We have our new drive. Then we can click manage members right here to add people to our team drive. This would give them access to access the drive, similar to giving people access to our files and folders. This will give them access to the drive itself. We can also upload files and folders like we demonstrated in part 1 of our Google Drive video by clicking new folder and create. And then if we open that folder, we can upload files. Like so. And then your members of your drive here would have the same permissions for all of those files and folders. Instead of having to assign them individually when using the share function, they would be given the same permissions that they are granted on the drive itself. We can check those permissions by right-clicking our team drive here, then selecting manage members. This will give us a window that gives us a list of all of the members that are a part of our drive. We can add people by typing their email address or their name. We can see ourselves here, and we can see a little drop-down box here that says manager. If we click that, that gives us all of our various options for permissions to the team drive. So we are considered the manager of the drive because we created it. So we have all the access, all the permissions to do whatever we want with the files and folders contained within the drive. Default members are granted content manager access. So what this means is they can add files and folders, they can edit them, make changes to them, they can move them from different folders, they can delete those files and folders, etc. Contributors, they can add files and folders as well as edit those files, but they can't delete anything. And then commenters, they can only make comments, and viewers, they can't make any changes. They can simply view the documents that are contained within. So we can just make those changes. You just click the different choice per person, click done, and that would change their permissions. Some more options under that drop-down menu of the drive when we right-click is we can email all of the members of the drive. So if we wanted to just send a quick email notification to everyone on our team, we can select the email members option. We also have the shared drive settings. So these are more specific permission settings for the drive. If we go ahead and open that up, we can see that we can change who can access the contents of the drive. So we currently have it so that we can share it with anyone outside of our Google domain. If we clicked edit, we can make it so that only people inside our domain can access it, or only people outside can access it. Whether or not non-members of the shared drive can have access. So you have to be a member of the team drive to have access to the files. Or if you're a non-member, you can have access with this option here. As well as people who are commenters or viewer who have commenting and viewing permissions, the lower permissions, whether they are allowed to download, copy, or print the files, you can prevent them from doing so. So just a little more flexibility in what level of access you can give people to your drive. You can also rename it with this option here. Nice like search option that is inherent with all of the Google Drive settings. And that will conclude our video on the basics for how to use sharing and team drives to help further our productivity with others in Google Drive. This has been a Charter Technologies tutorial. Thanks for watching.